Hello and welcome to Saguaro Spotlight. I'm your host, Kelsey McLaughlin, and joining us today is Carrie Shubert, psychic, medium, and clairvoyant. Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
So thank you again for coming out here today.
Thank you for having me here.
I'd like to begin by asking, how did you come to discover these abilities of yours?
I've been doing this for a long time, and I guess the best way to describe it is that I would tell people information and they would say, "How did you know that?" So I thought the things I was typically getting were common for everybody. And the more I kept hearing, "How did you know that? How did you know that?" the more I was trying to figure out why it was different. And so I pursued different forms of parapsychology, self-help, everything I could, and the more I did, the more aware of my psychic ability I became, and the more I developed it.
That's really cool. So it's more of the feedback to realize what was going on.
Yeah, I think when you're in your own skin, you don't think your thinking's any different because you don't have that perspective, the objectivity.
That's a good way of looking at it. So today, what do you do as a psychic? What sort of work do you do?
I do a variety of things. I would say that most people come to me because they want to know about romance, finance. There are other things like health that are in a typical reading. So I'll actually go through and look to see like if the relationship they're currently in is going to work out, who they end up with if it isn't, travel, moves, finance, and then other people will come to me because they want me to tune into a loved one who's passed away. So I also tune into animals. I do psychometry, which is holding an object and being able to pick up on a person based on, if the owner, whoever the owner was, and information about that object, or rather about the person. Also, I get calls for diagnostic. I get calls for lost and found. I get a lot of fun stuff too, so that it isn't boring or so that it doesn't get monotonous. I can't say boring because it never is. So I'm helping people. But if I had to do the same thing over and over again, I think it would be difficult. I like a challenge.
So it sounds like you keep yourself interested, then keep changing it up.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
cool.
I like to test myself a lot.
All right, well, we actually have some footage of you working in the field. We're going to cut to that.
Okay, great.
Let's take a look.
Go to an older car that looks like it could be 70s or something, when cars were made of actual metal instead of like a boat. And I'm seeing it as, I think it's either a beige or or like a goldish color. I'm wondering if I'm in the bathroom because I'm seeing a big mirror and it's bright in there. And I feel like he's shoving her around. I feel like I'm being shoved around the room. My head hurts. I don't know if there's a sense of being pushed against the wall. Okay, now I'm outside the body. I'm going to try to keep from not crying, try to keep from crying. I'm getting him like pulling her, so I get him behind her, pulling her under her armpits. Here's what I get with his behavior toward Janny. There's kind of like amused, smiling, I have the upper hand kind of thing. So it's almost like, how do I want to say it? Like an arrogant, sardonic. There's just this kind of like odd smile I get toward her, like I have one up on you kind of thing.
That was pretty intense. So is that a normal case, or what's a good story of yours of doing what you do?
Boy, there's so many. That particular case, I'm in their book. They wanted to write a book about a cold case, and it was actually a family that found me. They were screening psychics, and they came to me and just gave me the name. And what happened was, the male that you hear in that footage, it was his mother. He was told when he was in the service, and it was in the 70s, that she was that she had committed suicide. And it turned out, it came to light after that she was murdered. So they're trying to reopen the case. So I was not given any information, just her name, and all that came up. But I have all kinds of fun things that I get to. My work is with humor because life is too serious anyway. When my kids were growing up, I would get things like, my kids would say, "Oh, does so-and-so have a crush on me?" Then as they got older, I'd hear stuff like, is that my baby? I'd get all kinds of nutty stuff. But one time, the kids brought me, I was over visiting my children's friend's house and are going to pick up my kids, and they had a turtle, and it was called Turdy. And they said, can you look to see what's wrong with him? Because he was sick, a sick turtle. Anyway, so I tuned him in, and the first thing I got was, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. And when I said something, hey, he doesn't like to, she is a girl, not a boy, they said, oh, we just came from the vet and we're told that this is a female. So, you know, I'll get funny things like that. It makes it more interesting. I've had people, I did have one woman show up at the office with this really heavy linen box, and I went to grab it and I went, what is in there? And she said, that's Phil. So I said, you didn't have to bring him for me to tune him in. She brought in his ashes. So I get a lot of interesting stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So tell me, how would someone find you, or if they were seeking your sort of services, how would they find you?
Usually, well, typically people get to me through word of mouth, and I read people all over the world. I also read by phone, I read by Skype. Another method is sometimes people will just Google that they're looking for a psychic, and I come up on Google, or they go to my website,
All right.
which is carrieshubert.com. No C in Schubert.
No C in Schubert. All right, we're going to cut to a break really quick, and we're going to talk to you a little more afterwards, all right?
Okay, great.
All right, we'll be back. Welcome back. I'm your host, Kelsey McLaughlin on Saguaro Spotlight, and I'm here with psychic Carrie Shubert, and she's agreed to give us a demonstration of the sort of things she does. So I'll let you take the wheel.
Okay, so Kelsey, what I'm going to have you do is say your name. Let me just get to my level real quickly. And what I do is in my head, I'm going to start, typically I would start with, okay, we're in March 2014, so I advance it month to month to see what's coming up. And I'm going to just have you say your name for me one time.
All right, Kelsey McLaughlin.
Okay, so we're in March, April. When I get to May, June, I'm getting travel. I can't tell if it's central, since I'm not going to take a lot of time to dissect it, but I'm definitely getting a trip, and it feels like it's out of state. When I get to the month of June, I think it's like June, July, I'm seeing a woman who has straight hair. It's about this length, so give or take an inch. I want to say it could be a dirty blonde and have some blondish in it. It's definitely more like that. It's not real light, but it's not dark. And the surroundings I'm getting, it could be a classroom, it could be somebody's private office. I'm seeing it as a little bit more open space, and it has beige tones in there. And I'm seeing her, work with her, looks like it's around June, July, August, September. I believe it continues through the year. I also, when I look at you long term, I feel like you will write a book or a screenplay, and I'm seeing where I'm really seeing it, which could mean that's either when you, I can't always tell if it's when you started or when you finish it, but it looks like something may be complete around 2016, because I'm seeing you holding a stack of paper. So what I typically do when I'm tuning in is it's like empathing you. So I'm looking through your eyes and seeing things the way you would see them, and that's also why some things will come in bits and pieces. And I know earlier I picked up on your brother and some conflict there. So let me just take one more look.
All right.
Okay. March, April, May, June, July, August. I don't think you're going to move out of your current residence until next year.
Next year?
Yeah, I was looking to see a move, but it feels like in September some of the tension between the two of you subsides. So it might be, and it doesn't mean every day is hell on earth with this person. It just means that the theme monthly is a little bit more of like a push-pull or conflict, and then it seems like it ends. So that's a little taste of what I do.
That was really fascinating to hear about that. Especially, I know I'm excited now. I'm a writer, so I'm hoping it works out like you said.
Good.
That'll be exciting to see.
There you go.
Well, thank you for tuning in with us, and thank you for being here with us.
Thanks again for having me.
If you would like to learn more about Carrie Shubert, you can visit her website, carrieshubert.com. As she mentioned earlier, there's no C in the last name. And thank you for joining us today. I'm Kelsey McLaughlin. This is Saguaro Spotlight. Thank you.
Thanks again for having me.